Good afternoon and welcome to our LinkedIn Live, the last LinkedIn Live of 2025 with Gina London. Gina, hello.
Hi, Sam. Great to be with you here on our final LinkedIn Live of the year. And I really want to thank so many people who even texted me today to say, oh, I'm showing up, or oh, I can't, but I'm looking forward to the recording. I mean, there's just seems to be a
Oh,
general buzz from people about the community that we're starting to create. And I appreciate everybody's support and their interactions and engagement throughout the year. So it's great to see you again, Sam. It's great to be here and it's great to be with everyone who'll be joining.
yes, and thank you, folks. And don't forget, if you have a question, please don't hesitate to comment, and we might even feature it on the screen. So we're going to talk about the year. Oh, I suppose for a lot of people, it's been a tough year. There's been things. How about you, Gina? What has this year been like for you, and any highlights you want to mention?
Well, thanks. Yeah, it's been a mix, like for most people, of lowlights and highlights. And as you heard from my cough as you were speaking, sorry, I'm just coming off of the flu. And so that's, I think, a reminder that health is our wealth, as they say, and not to take it lightly. And I am grateful that, except for this little bout and the nagging cough that still remains with me, my health has been largely good. My daughter, I'm a single mom. My daughter she just turned 18 last month. Her health has also been good. But that doesn't mean that at this time of year, people aren't struggling with health issues. They're dealing with loss. I was just, as I was saying to you before we came on to this live event, that my first thing this morning was attending a board meeting of an organization that I've been on the board of for a number of years, with the CEO and founder of this company, who unfortunately and unexpectedly passed about 3 weeks ago now.
Mm.
And now it's a multinational organization with a large revenue turnover, but it's still privately owned. And so when he died, he has 60% of the shares. They moved to his wife, who had been a part of the company and knows the company, but this was her first time to be in the boardroom and back in the offices since his funeral.
Mm.
And so it's a real poignant reminder that what you're going through is not what someone else is going through. And we talked, I think, a little bit about this last time as we were gearing up for the holidays, that your awareness of how you're feeling. I mean, you might be feeling down and somebody else might be feeling up, or you might be feeling up and somebody else might be feeling down. I had dinner last night with a dear friend whose husband had died 2 years ago. And the first year, she said, actually was in some ways easier because maybe she was just going through in a bit of a shock. And now this year, it's even more impactful for her in a variety of different ways, including she was doing some renovation in their home, and just that feeling of almost like I'm betraying my husband's
Mm.
design style because now I'm putting up new wallpaper over the wallpaper we decided to put in. Excuse me. And so I know I'm talking a lot about personal, but as I always say, we don't have a professional life and a personal life, folks. We just have a life. And how we lead that life, how we make the most of moments, how we make what might be choices in order to make the life better or be kinder for others. I mean, there's just all of that happens all the time. So, me, last year, this year, 2025, was a new start, a decision to make a new start in a romantic relationship that I had that wasn't going anywhere anymore. And because we weren't married, I decided to call it. And I did call it. And that's a tough decision. Like if you're a head of a business and you need to change some staff, or I also had to change someone on our team, as you know.
Mhm.
And those choices aren't easy because people are involved. And yet we also have to think about, okay, what is what's the greater good, or what's happening, and how can we be as kind as possible but also do what's right for us in that particular situation. So those were a couple things that were tricky and difficult. I mentioned the milestone birthday of my daughter. That's exciting. I went to a new country. I'd never been to Kuwait, so I had a new bank client came on board there, which I expect to have more business in next year for them. And I think the big news for me in the last week is that I officially have an executed signed contract with a global publisher for my manuscript. So look in 2026 for Amplify You to be coming out, and we will keep you posted on that. So got out of an old relationship, had to make a change in the business. Daughter turned 18 successfully. Everything was great there, and a book deal. I think those are probably the lows and the highs of 2025. What about you?
Oh, me? Oh, gosh. It was a, yeah, it was a roller coaster for me. And it's ended up in a nice way. And a new announcement is coming soon. So I did have to rebrand and all of that. But you know what? You know what I love?
A lot of gravitas to your brand this year, which I think for people listening, we're both small business owners and we impact others by the service that we provide. And the way that we frame that, the way you talk about yourself in work, the way you position yourself for a promotion, the way you pitch your company for fundraising externally, that's all a movable feast.
Mhm.
Meaning if it's not reflective of how you are, or you've evolved in different ways, you are absolutely empowered to start to adjust and make some modifications. And so kudos to you, Sam, because you did, and you did it very well.
Oh, thank you very much. And it's this is why it's so important, though, community. And I love the fact that you're building this community of people with the language of leadership. So if anyone doesn't know and you're not aware, Gina has a LinkedIn group, and we are building a community around the language of leadership, which is her cat. Tell me more about the language of leadership now, actually. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what's great about the work that I've been doing is that it's largely been B2B. So big businesses will contact me. They will ask for multi-part programs to develop their maybe middle managers into senior leaders, or take their senior leaders into world-class speakers. Everything around the idea of control, confidence, comfort around how we communicate. So I get into the strategy, the structure, and the delivery. And that includes your body language, your appearance. I don't mean physical beauty as much as I mean what's the audience, what's the vision of you or the polish of you that you need to bring to make that connection better. Your voice quality, your word choice, second language English speakers, first language English speakers on a global level. Now, because the book is coming out, there's an opportunity to really reach anyone, anywhere who might not have the backing or the resources available like a lot of large companies do. So the B2C, the business to customer, to you, the real people, that I'm really excited about with Sam's help and some other members of my team to build and really create an interactive community. So it's not just me pushing and doing live events where you're just maybe listening and writing some notes. We are going to hopefully be doing online, interactive, on camera. Let's get real. Let's make this applicable and practical to whoever you are. We want to build a community that helps people where they are physically and the level that they are in terms of their own comfort and confidence around their communication, so that you can better connect. AI isn't going to be a substitute for us yet. So this human to human interaction is really more essential than ever before. And that's why we're committed to making a community of impact.
Yeah, I think community in 2026, and also the people who have a personal brand are going to stand out in 2026, especially against AI. So we can talk about that a little bit later. But in the meantime, like the things that you went through, the things that I went through, like you've been a great support to me, and I hope I've been a bit of a support to you. And I think it's so important, folks, that we look after each other. And I think that's what we've done for each other this year.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. I mean, like, what you don't see in between the live LinkedIn events are the weekly calls that Sam and I have about what's going on in her work, what's going on in my work, the types of things that we can do to increase and improve that impact for both of us. Because really we've made our careers about serving and supporting others. And
Mhm.
especially those of you who might be listening, you're in a leadership role. The higher up you go,
Yeah.
the more isolated you might feel, the more lonely that you might feel, because there's a lot, as my mom used to say, if you're constantly giving and giving, who's refilling your reservoir? And it's important that you have trusted, wonderful people that
Mhm.
you can vent to, or you can, because I think it's important as a leader, you can't do this all the time. You can't, the whole idea of being authentic, remember, you cannot complain and whine and cry. Now, if you just lost your husband, obviously you can cry to anyone. But my point is, as a leader, we have a responsibility, unlike some other people in leadership. The real impactful, positive, lasting legacy of leaders are those who think of others first. They're servant leaders. They turn on what needs to be turned on, if at all possible, to impact in a positive way the hopes and the dreams of those people that they're with. They're motivating people to action. And now you see examples of that where leaders aren't doing that. However, they're not going to have lasting positive legacies.
Mhm.
End up. So in that environment, when you are dialing it up because it's what's required, you know the goal, you're assuming the role, it's not inauthentic, it's because you're making that effort, you're dialing up your focus, but you still are human. So you need a advisory board or a community or a trusted circle, whatever you want to call it. If you don't have one as we're ending 2025, I want to encourage you to assemble your own advisory board, your trusted
Mhm.
circle for 2026. It doesn't have to be people within your business. In fact, it's probably better if it's not. And it's also, excuse me, probably better if it's not just your best friend or your sister or your brother. It should probably be people who you might still be working with, you might have worked with in the past, you might have a mentor or a former coach, someone, or I'd say 3 people. You don't need to have 10, but probably get an uneven group. So in the event of a tie, someone can break that tie. Excuse me, try.
Tina has a bad cough. You have a bad cough. Have you got water there? Go and get water if you
Oh,
want.
that's okay. It doesn't help, honestly. So what I'd like to encourage you though, so step 1 for 2026, get a trusted advisory board, and don't just think that it's an ad hoc group.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be very specific. I want you to name 3 people. Maybe they're in other parts of the world. Maybe they're able to different time zones. It doesn't matter. And by the way, that advisory board can change year to year. But for
Absolutely.
2026, I would encourage you, who are 3 people that you respect,
Mm-hmm.
that are going to speak the truth to you, and that you trust?
I think we can all think of those straight away, can't we? Really,
I
3.
hope so. And if you can't, then that's homework for you to do a
Yeah.
deeper dive and think about who they are. We don't do this life thing alone. We certainly shouldn't.
Yeah, and
And
I just want to give a
also
shout
we
out. I
do.
want to give a shout out to Victoria and Dr. Ray Sylvester, who was in Indiana. Remember I mentioned before, and Joel as well. Thank you so much. We have an international audience here, and then Meryl has just joined us. Good morning, greetings from
Good morning.
snowy, frigid northern New Jersey, USA. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's cold. Okay, well keep warm. So yeah, that's really good. So 3 people. I think a trusted advisory board will help you so much. Absolutely, I agree with you. And
Agreed.
go ahead.
And one other thing I was going to say, as we're so now we're what I'd encourage you all to do for 2025, make a list. It doesn't have to be exhaustive, but two columns:
Mm-hmm.
wins and learnings, because obviously we don't want to say losses. We want to say wins and learnings. And the wins can be as small as, well, I was thrilled that the party bus arrived on time for my daughter's 18th and I didn't get, yeah, there you go, wins and learning. So they can be personal, they can be professional, because once again, you don't have a personal life and a professional life. You just have a life. I've never loved this idea of work-life balance. We just have a life. So
Yeah.
it ebbs and flows. So everything goes into that. If you had a promotion, fantastic. If you were overlooked, for something, that's a learning. But that means on the learning side now. So the wins, celebrate the small wins as much as the big wins.
Okay.
If you got to the gym more than you thought you were going to this past year, then that's a win. If you're now looking at the learnings, let's say, for example, you did get passed over for a promotion. If you haven't already, even if it was 6 months ago, make sure you've got your debrief from that manager or that selection team as to what specific development plan you can put in place in order to improve. So development plans sound very HR-y, and it might make some of us go, ugh. So make it easy for you, make it realistic. What specific tangible things that you can do in small but significant steps. So those are things I want you to identify in your learnings column. Then let's move that over to goal setting for 2026. And the key here is don't set a goal for 2026 because it's too vague. Bite size it down into little nuggets. So if the goal is to get to the gym more, this is why we love James Clear and Atomic Habits. It's not get to the gym more. It's on December 1 or January 1, I'm going to sleep in because it's New Year's Day. On January 2, I'm going to put on my runners and I'm going to go walk for 10 minutes. That's small. That's incremental. That's something that you can likely attain. If you just put, I'm going to go to the gym more for 2026, it's too ambiguous. So even if it's like, I'm going to move my runners from downstairs to right next to my bed, that's a win. So when you're looking at your job, think about, okay, what's my circle of influence right now? Who am I in alignment with and who has influence? So go around in your group, your network, direct reports, higher ups. And I would like you, there's a lot of different criteria you can put to this, but I think the two main ones are thinking about their influence. This is not your influence with them, it's their influence within the organization. Small business, big business, just give them a little 1 through 10 grade, subjective. And then most importantly, how supportive of they are you? How aligned are they with you? So with someone I would say that I've got great alignment with, but they don't have a lot of influence, that's lovely, but they probably aren't my top priority. If I also have someone that has great influence, but I have really low alignment with them, that's a target for me to begin to ask them out for a coffee to learn more about them, have a virtual 10-minute meeting with them just to say, I'd love to get to know you more, but begin to build your list of who do I need in 2026 if I'm starting to try to really think about my career path progression. So tangible, small, little bite-sized steps toward a bigger goal. You can make the bigger goal, but then I want you to bite-size them out like week by week or even month by month. I'd rather have you do it week by week though, because that's more attainable, because you'll kick the curb till the end of the month and then try to do everything that you didn't do in the last week.
And, like looking back as well, we've had a lot of stuff going on in the news and stuff like that. Have you any advice for people going into 2026 around that maybe,
Woo! Yes, because I certainly have one of my goals for 2026 here. The power of open commitments. So if you've got a goal, tell somebody. The more people you can tell, the more it makes it real and the more that you feel like you're being held accountable. So open commitment, speak it out loud to everybody and anybody. So here we are right now. I am going to scroll less. It has become an absolute addiction with me in between I might get my work done. It's weird. I will certainly make all my deadlines. But when's the last book I read? When's the last for like not just an article that was on Politico or CNN or the New York Times or The Hill, because I am a political junkie. I still love to listen to my political podcast when I'm getting ready, but that's different than in between my coaching sessions or travels. I'm sitting on my phone and just, oh, there's another dog that was saved. Oh, isn't that little beaver cute? Oh, look at that chicken that adopted the little baby peacock. I just watched that before I got on the call.
And that's so funny because that's actually on my thing for this year as well, because I have loads of business books here and I haven't read one of them.
Yeah, I mean, how dare I be writing a book that nobody's going to read, even if they buy it, because nobody reads books anymore. Thankfully, there's going to be QR codes. So you could just jump to the QR codes and get me listening with the idea. So yeah, thank you, Victoria, for saying that you doom scroll too. I mean, how many Christmas holiday interior design ideas that I'm not going to do any of are helpful for me? Or I see that recipe and I say, oh, I think I'm going to do that recipe. And then I've gone 5 more down and I'm back to the dogs that are being rescued in Thailand. And I forgot about the recipe altogether. Dr. Ray, this is a great question. Let's get back on track and get away from doom scrolling. His question is, how do you define and measure alignment? Now, I would say, first of all, subjectively, it has to come from your own situational awareness. So I don't have a quantifiable metric because I think those are just a recipe for someone to say, well, that doesn't apply to me. So when I say alignment, which is just a nice word or businessy word for how well do they know you? Do you feel that have you been visibly working? Are they a sponsor of you? Are they a mentor of you? This is someone within your organization that can help you improve, or if you're an entrepreneur like it's somebody else who's an advocate for you. It's someone who can introduce you to other people. So it's essentially your relationship quotient on alignment. And so do you, I've talked before on this platform about your red and your yellow and your green light friends. That can be the same for your red and your yellow and your green light business alignments. So essentially the greens are remember, they can be a great peer or a coworker and be fantastically aligned. Means you guys really trust each other. You know each other's families. That person's got your back if they can pick up the slack for you on a particular project. And yet, if they don't have a lot of influence, they're still a treasure. But what we're looking for is raising the alignment or the relationship or the trust. Thanks, doctor. You're welcome. You're thinking about what's your relationship, moving that up on the scale from an 8 to a 9. You can ask yourself, how would I rate them between 1 and 10? This is what we do in coaching a lot. You can talk about it, but the wheel, and you can use the wheel for your advocates or use your wheel for your influencers. From a scale from 1 to 10, how would I personally rate Sam? Well, I'm going to give her an 8 just for sake of this. And okay, then the next question is, what would make her a 10? And then you start to get into some specifics about that. And hello from Houston. Fantastic. I love this. So the idea, yeah, thanks, Marilyn. It wasn't a proud moment. But what we're trying to do, though, is we're related to discernment and EQ. Yeah, absolutely. Your own EQ is going to be what you're going to be putting into play to ascertain how connected are they. So I often say, too, if you're thinking about your relationship architecture with someone, you can use the red light, green light, yellow light dashboard kind of style, or you can use a number scale, or you can do a visualization. I throw out the Eiffel Tower. If your alignment with that person is low, like at the base of the tower, that means you probably know them you don't know them very well. They might be someone that you want to know more. You want to build trust with them, but you just simply don't have that relationship. It might be someone that you were up here at the first observatory on the Eiffel Tower with that person, but then maybe you missed a deadline, or maybe you got into conflict. Maybe that alignment went down, or that relationship went down for some reason. So evaluating these from your perspective will give you a baseline. It isn't, by the way, then you need to interrogate that baseline. Let's say I say Sam is a 5 in my alignment quotient, but she's a 9 in terms of her sphere of influence, then two things need to happen. One, I know I need to improve this line, and I don't want to sit on my assertion of what the number is. When we talk about 360s and people get feedback on how others have perspective of them. So when you think about your own perspective of that person, I would encourage you then to go to that person. Don't say, hey, I did this evaluation and I think we're only a 5 and how can I make it better?
Mhm.
Say something more along the lines of, I really value you within the organization, and I would love to hear your thoughts on me as a professional and my areas of improvement that you would encourage me around. So what you're doing right there is you're essentially asking them to be an advocate. There, if they agree to it, then they're starting to get vested in you. And that's automatically going to bring that up a little more. Now, if you get a pushback, they go, oh, no, you're fine. That's not going to give you the real specific feedback that you need. Can you give me an example? Try to get through a series of questions to more specifics. What's one thing you would suggest that I do? What's one thing I would keep? What's one thing that you would suggest that I could improve on? Are there any blind spots? That's a vulnerable question, but that can actually really open you up to, I'm here for it. And we think about what our goals are for 2026, which is part of this whole discussion. We don't achieve our goals by ourselves. So the more that you can, oh, that's great, to finish the last draft of my first children's book, Victoria. Okay, so the question that I'm going to have to you then is to write down, okay, so last draft means to me you've already got one draft. You don't have another chapter that's completely open. If it's the last draft, I wonder who that you have reached out to read it so far. Because sometimes, like for my manuscript, by the way, it took me probably a good 2 years before I even felt like I had enough to shop out to just a trusted other writer to have him go through it and give me his thoughts on where it was. And if I had kept sitting on it, though, waiting for it to be perfect, I would never have gotten the incredible, valuable feedback that I got from him. So, Victoria, I'm going to encourage you to get somebody else involved right away. To not maybe, hopefully, someone that you don't have to pay, but you might have to pay a little just to make sure you have that interaction and the timeliness that you're looking for. But getting somebody, an accountability partner of some form that you trust, probably not your best friend or a sister that's going to tell you, oh, it's great. Someone who might have already published a book or might be a journalist or someone who's got writing chops that
Maybe
you
someone
respect.
that has children the age that the book starts to as well, maybe.
Sure.
I'm a grandmother, Victoria.
And probably, yes, and probably more than one person. But I would encourage you probably to quit sitting on it, waiting for it to be perfect.
Yeah.
And start to shop it around, not necessarily to a publisher, but to
before you finish the final draft.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've got a 80%, go for it. For example, when I got a publicist before I got the publisher, and the publicist, I'd already had endorsements from a number of best-selling leadership business authors who had read it and said, this is good, this is valuable. I'd also had the person that was referred to me who was a successful editor and co-writer of other business books, so he had come along as well. But I didn't have a publicist in the United States in particular because I wanted someone global. And when I got him, he actually said, I think you need to do another chapter.
Okay.
I had written about AI, but I didn't have a dedicated chapter on AI. So Mark said, I think you need to do another chapter on AI, which I did. But rather than me go straight from what I thought was my final draft over to publishers to try to shop it out, the publicist helped me. And he, in fact, is the one who made the introduction to me to the global publisher. And that's the contract from Wiley that I have now today.
Wow. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, because that was a big goal for me, is to, I mean, you, like anything, if you're an expert so-called in a field, it's almost essential that you have that calling card of a book to go with it. And so,
yeah, and Orla Kelly is a great one for people that do want to do a business book. Definitely, if you're in the chat here, I can highly recommend her as well.
We're speaking now from our home country of Ireland. Yeah. So she may do more beyond Ireland, but I just want to make sure for listeners who are global.
Yeah, we have global audience here, and Jay has joined us as well. And Jay says, looking back on your career, what's one thing you could change about your work self? I don't know. I think that question.
Oh, Jay, that's a great question. That is a great question, and I will be able to answer that very quickly. When I was with CNN, I was junior when I arrived, and frankly, I was junior when I left. I did not make like the whole influence advocate. I didn't do any of that. No one had talked to me about this stuff. I mean, journalism and media in particular, there's not a culture of professional development and personal development and all this kind of stuff that I talk about now. I was completely unaware that, I mean, I'm not that naive. I knew that if the bosses liked you, there was a likelihood that they would position you, but I should have been more proactive, is what I'm going to say, Jay, about not being afraid. You're so busy. When I was with CNN, I mean, I was living out of a suitcase and I'm on the planes and covering all these breaking news and different stories. But I should have, when I'm back in the firehouse polishing the fire truck, as we would describe it, I should have been every time going to an executive producer, going to the president of news gathering. I would see these guys on the escalators and kind of, they would be aware of me in passing, but I did not work visibly behind the scenes enough. And that, I think, is a mistake. Not because it's only the relationship stuff that will get you ahead, but it does matter. And so thinking about your balance of your work productivity and your skill set and your relationship work and your network as well. That, I think, if I were back 10, 15, 20 years ago when I started out at CNN, that I should have had more advocates.
And it's interesting, just from a different perspective here, from an entrepreneur's perspective with me, like, for example, I've noticed my connections. I didn't realize how many highly valuable connections I had until I went through that really tough time during the summer. And I didn't realize how many relationships I'd already built. So when I was looking for help, but asking for help, didn't even think twice, because I'd already helped them, or I'd helped their daughter, or I'd helped their friend, or, so sometimes even you don't know who someone knows. So I always treat, and you do this really well, Gina.
I do it better, but I will say to Jay and others listening, I still have, I mean, I do workshops on getting past imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
That's, I still get in my way emotionally about, I can't go ask Sam for help because Sam is this illustrious, I'm going to feel that she won't return my email. It's going to be a weird ask. I don't know how. So I will say, by the way, that getting out of your head and jumping into whatever, like if you think that you want to make that networking ask, do it. The whole Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, whatever works for you, do it. So example, and ChatGPT is a great help on this. When I was in my head early last year about, I have this manuscript and I want to ask for testimonials or ask for endorsements of Liz Wiseman, the writer of Multipliers, Bob Waldinger, the co-founder or the co-director of the longest study on happiness out of Harvard, Dr. Wendy Suzuki, the NYU neuroscientist whose TED Talk, not TEDx like me, TED Talk has 50 million views. These were just Tessie Ojo, the president and CEO of the Princess Diana Foundation. I've met all these people, but the idea of me to ask them, hey, here's my manuscript, would you take a look at it, filled me with dread. It probably took me 2 weeks of wrestling with myself here before I finally, with ChatGPT's help, because you say, you put the prompt in and say, can you please write I think you're great and would love for you to take a look at this manuscript. Is there any testimonial that you can write? Or I just let me know where you, I mean, see, already you can see how I'm babbling on it. So that would have made me wait another 2 weeks. So I do the little prompt to ChatGPT, please polish and make it brief and have it be warm, but and not too, so you tell it all the prompts. Out it spits. I cut and paste, making sure that I add a little personalization, but I'm not angsting every time. And honestly, you guys, 90% of the people that I wrote to wrote back. And of everybody who wrote back, everyone did it. I was told by Michael Bungay Stanier, the best-selling author of the Coaching Habit book out of Canada, you only need 5. I've got probably 8, and they're solid, including Stephen Covey's oldest daughter, Cynthia. I mean, so get out of your head.
Yeah. We're afraid to ask for help sometimes.
Yes.
And that actually would help them as well. Because sometimes if someone asks me for help, I feel much better after it. And actually it helps me in the end. It comes back anyway.
Yeah.
There is a question from Victoria.
Yes.
Any tips, and you did a whole thing about this, actually a whole article about this, any tips for building stronger relationships in a fully remote working scenario?
Yes. First of all, thanks for asking that question. And as more and more of us are in hybrid or full working remotely environments, the idea of organically running across someone at the water cool or organically meeting that higher up person is less and less, because you're going to only be seeing that senior exec at an all hands meeting, and you might not even be presenting. So it's not even an opportunity. Excuse me. So make your list, first of all, because not every senior exec do you need to potentially know. Maybe if you're in IT, then your IT guy is going to make more sense than your chief marketing officer, unless you decide that the CMO makes sense for some reason, or someone in that division. Make your list. And now this is where ChatGPT will help you, or your Slack or your Teams email or whatever. Write to them. Use a hook. Hey, Sam, I'm so-and-so if you've never met them. I heard you speak at the last remote town hall. Whatever. I saw your profile on the internal newsletter. Whatever. I think the easiest way is, I know you're very busy. I would love to schedule a 10-minute virtual coffee with you to learn more about your professional journey. That is all I would put in it. If you're amenable to that, send me back a time. Or if you want to put them in a little decision trap, would early in the week work better, or would later in the week work better? So you've given them a little either or, as opposed to the open-ended that they can kick that down and not respond at all. If they have if they have an assistant, use your wonderful assistants as the gatekeeper that you love. I know my assistant, if you're not nice to Julia, it's not Julia. I adore her, and she protects me. Yes. So if you have an assistant in that chain, don't go around the assistant. Find out who the assistant is and say, I'd really love to talk to Sam. Julia, is there a way that I can meet with her just for 10 minutes virtually? But my point to you, Victoria, you need to still be proactive on building your relationships, even more so because you're not going to have those organic opportunities like you would if you were inside a workplace day to day.
I have my own kind of tip.
Please.
Victoria, if I'm in London, I have a lot of connections in London that I probably haven't met in real life. And what I do is I let them know when I'm going to be in London, and I've already set up a date for February when I'm going to be there for one of my clients I haven't met in real life. So I will make the effort, even though we've only done coaching remotely like this. I'm going to meet for a cup of coffee with him now in February when I'm in London. So
yeah, absolutely.
Traveling anywhere near where we know that person
Yeah,
lives.
I don't know where Victoria works. If she's in a really large multinational, they can have offices all over the place. You're in, I don't know, holiday in Madrid, and you know that there's an office in Madrid, then you can reach out. I'm going to be there for the week. Now, your family might go, why are you taking time off to go meet with so-and-so when we're going to the beach? I guess there's not a beach in Madrid, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
For example, when I was in Kuwait,
Mm.
I was working with a particular bank. I was only there for 4 days, but I also had a coffee with the head of communications at KPMG there, who I had met virtually and had become friendly with, in the hopes that we are also going to warm that up. I'd also written to a couple of other people from other prospects in Kuwait City so that we could have a coffee, because you're just trying to create a nexus of opportunities.
Yeah.
But back to Victoria, though, when for the first round, when you're at that red light relationship or you're at that base of the Eiffel Tower, go for a small amount. Don't say you want to meet with them for an hour or 30 minutes, because it might be too much. Make it bite size even for them. 10 minutes is a nice way to say, just want to put a face to a name, want to hear your story, and I'll let you go and we can do another one.
Yeah. We actually we're running out of time, folks, but I see lots of questions, which is brilliant. Thank you so much. Jay has said, when you started to build your networking relationships on and off LinkedIn, did you consider the trust factor, because you can't trust everyone?
Absolutely. And the answer is, of course, and you have to be case by case. So your external awareness, situational awareness. Are you on the sending mode or are you on the receiving mode? I get a lot of pings now on LinkedIn that say, we can help your SEO. We can increase your coaching by marketing. Most of them, I will say, thanks so much, not interested in taking on new vendors at this time. Couple of times, if they're quite creative in the way that they outreach, I'll have Julia schedule something and I'll listen. I haven't picked up anybody at this point, but it just depends. And so on the receiving end, I try to be responsive to everybody.
Yeah.
On the sending end, because I do a lot of outreach on LinkedIn that then leads to a Zoom call that then hopefully puts them in the HubSpot and then puts them eventually, hopefully, into a client base. But I'll tell you, Jay, it takes time. It's a numbers game. I don't have a bunch of people hired I don't have any AI automated thing, because that's going to feel disingenuous. That's not going to help build trust. It has to be an authentic human person that's writing, and we target who we write to. That said, sometimes it has taken over a year to move someone from the first Zoom call to actually getting a contract. And so being patient and knowing that it's a numbers game, and when you're an entrepreneur, that's hard, because, oh, what's your pipeline? I don't know. I'm sowing as many seeds as I can. I'm hopeful. But your style of engagement does matter, because that will help build the trust. So I don't try to sell on the first note. I just ask for the connection. I'm also, as you guys all know, I'm very active on LinkedIn, because they're going to take a look and say, who is this random person? And if they see, oh, she's got a lot of followers, or she's got active content that's relevant, I'm not just putting on recipes and here's the.
Well, you're adding value. They'll see you're adding value, you see. They will see that you're adding value.
Yeah, exactly. And so then when I get a Zoom or a Teams meeting with them, I'm also trying to even have myself, Victoria, a virtual coffee. I'm not going, hey, this is a hard sell. Let me tell you about all the programs I can do. I'm going to really try to get to know not just their story within the organization, but who they are as a person. So, Jay, I'm trying to come at it peer-to-peer, number one.
Human to human.
That I am worthy and I can add value. Great point, Sam. And that I genuinely am interested in them and their own role. A lot of times people will say, I'm actually not in the decision-making thing. I need to introduce you to someone else. But because I was kind and interested in them, they'll make that referral. So I hope that helps.
That's great advice. You're getting lots of positive feedback here. And what is the most important advice you have learned in your work? We didn't do that one yet. Yeah. What's the best important advice you've learned in your work life?
Yeah, that everybody matters. And I mean this not in a glib way, that every person has a hope, dream, or a fear. That when you go into it, genuinely curious, I think my answer would be curating your curiosity, cultivating your curiosity. Not, and it takes effort because sometimes you're just tired. Sometimes you just don't want to meet a new person. Sometimes you don't want to turn it on. That making that effort to get out of yourself and think about others, and it is an effort, that I think is the number one. It continues to be rewarding for me, and other people say that it's rewarding for them. I think that is the power of relationships. That's the answer, folks.
And I have one too. I don't know if just, I know that you talk about this a lot, listening, the power of listening, and I think listening is something that I'm still learning, is just how to listen instead of wanting to get my piece in, and I'm waiting to get my piece into the conversation. And I've actually started learning from Gina how to actually step back and listen. And it's amazing how it works.
Thank you. And this, by the way, all this stuff is learnable, but it does take effort. I was coaching a person in Canada yesterday, and it's fundamental stuff in many ways, but yet our patterns of how we currently communicate are just that, they're patterns. So it takes new muscle memory and focus to begin to go from our default to design, which is going to feel a bit performative. Oh, I'm not just jumping in with my story. I'm now saying, that's interesting. Tell me more. What happened next? That's going to feel super contrived to you if you've never. But then when you watch that unfold and it starts to become embedded in your lexicon and how you do act, you're like, oh, this isn't changing me. It's amplifying me, which is why the name of the book is Amplify You. So that becomes your new default over time. Yes, change is hard. Yes, it takes effort. But this little girl from farmland, Indiana, who was shy and spoke with an accent and mumbled, to become a CNN reporter and now be going all around the world, helping people who I would have been so intimidated by. Senior leader at the Bank of Riyadh? What? And watch how they humble out when you genuinely give them that space to share their vulnerabilities, to stretch the way they communicate. Most people want to have a positive, lasting legacy with others. Most people are not narcissists. We hear a lot about them, and there are big examples of them. But most people, in my experience, want to create a better life for themselves and their family, and have strong relationships and improve those relationships along the way.
I have a feeling that Meryl is responsible for a lot of these people that have come to the chat. I'm just reading the chat here and the comments. We have a lot here. Welcome, Sean. Welcome, Elizabeth. Welcome, Nicole. I think that's the lady, the publisher that Meryl mentioned earlier on, I think it was. So it's good for the people watching if they want to know. And then, I think this one is good, Nicole. Being a solopreneur is a ton of work. Oh, yes. I hear you. I hear you. We hear you. It's not just the work itself that you do. That's true, but it's all about people. And folks, if you're not following Gina and if you're not familiar with Gina's work, do definitely follow her, but also check out The Language of Leadership, because Gina has a whole course.
I do. I have a program that takes you through a journey on your executive presence. And by executive presence, I just mean how you hold yourself, how you carry yourself, taking more control of that wonderful voice you have and that body language that you can be a deliverer of, not just a reader of. Then I go through your presentation skills, which we're always presenting. I help you with your storytelling. Embedding stories is always going to be a nice way to stick your messages and connect better with people. And then we go through, of course, motivating teams, which if you're a solopreneur, that still means your vendors or your sub-vendors or your clients or your advocates. So please, there's PDFs on there too, but that's all part of the community we're trying to create. And I hope that this end of the year look back and planning session for what we can take more control of in the new year is also the beginning of us coming together more often. So please connect with me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, find me on my website, GinaLondon.com. The platform Language of Leadership is also the learning platform there for it's a self-guided platform right now, but we're wanting to make it more interactive with live community events just like this, where you can actually talk to me, not just write notes. And I can't, before that year wrap up gets out, thank enough of Sam, because she has been an incredible host. And like you were saying too, Nicole, behind the scenes, there's a whole lot more that goes on than just this LinkedIn Live. And I value her and appreciate her very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Gina. And thank you, Elizabeth. I think for folks, anyone, what are you doing for Christmas, Gina? Are you going to be around, and have you got family or?
Yeah, well, I don't have family because I live here in Ireland. I mean, I'm American. You can hear from my accent, guys. I grew up in Indiana, but I have lived in Ireland. I'm an Irish citizen. I have dual citizenship now. My daughter, and I'm a single mom, so my daughter and I will be together Christmas Day, but we take in all the orphans. So we have all the wonderful other American expats that don't have extended family in Ireland either. We're going to have about 12 people for dinner on Christmas Day, and then we're taking off on the 27th for a week in Austria skiing. What about you?
Lovely. Yeah, I'm going to be with my grandson and my daughter and her boyfriend, her fiance now. Yeah, and yeah, so it's going to be quite enough. I'm going fishing and I'm going for walks on the beach. So folks, let me know what you're going to be doing. Let us know what you're going to be doing. Will you be doing walks on the beach, in the snow? I believe one of the gentlemen is in the snow at the moment. And definitely anybody who is interested in connecting, and check out the Language of Leadership. It will help you and change how you are in 2026. So thank you, Gina London. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you, everybody who joined in. Thanks a million. And thanks, Meryl, for telling everybody to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a great